Are you on?
I'm on.
Because if it's on, motherfucker, then it's on, G. Do you know Warren G?
Oh, I know him.
Do you know 2 Live Crew? All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to sew this part to that part. We'll just start right here. We're going to turn these 2 into 1. Seeing a little bit of stretch, so we'll just kind of push this back in there. Pull this back into place. This material is not Cordura, the top part. It's a much softer, stretchier material. It's I think they called it a cotton duck, but it's very similar to the material they made the BDU trousers out of. But it's one of the few things we could get that's actual Marpat. I think she said this had EGAs on it. I don't see the EGAs on here. Yep, it sure does. EGA right there, Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. So this is real Marine Corps Marpat. So these are Marine Corps birthday bags is what we're doing. And by the time you see this, it'll probably be too late. But what does that the kids say? If Nick, if you know, you know. If Nick, isn't that? If a Nick?
I've never heard
if
of
Yick,
it.
if you know, you know. If you are on our text and email promotion app, you will know that the code this Friday is Marine Corps birthday or whatever, something like that, and it will get you a free Marpat pouch, and these bags will be an orderable option in Marpat. So this is what we're building. By the time you see this, it'll probably be too late for you. And some of you who knew about it will have ordered it and will have already received this probably by the time you see this video next week. November 10th, I believe, is Marine Corps birthday. So this is what we're doing. Really, I think this is a better promo than we've ever done. And what this is it's a tool bag light. It's the actual tool bag pattern set. It just doesn't have the side pockets and the internal Velcro and stuff. But it's a nice bag, especially if you want something Marpat. So it's stabilized inside with 500 Cordura. I'm going to go ahead and sew the handles on here. I had intended on sending Scully home with one of these today. When we finished recording, he had to bail real quick, and I had forgotten that these were sitting inside. That's the whole reason I had him build them today, this morning, so that he could take a set with him. And then I always have this conversation with myself. Do I sew this other half on here so it's not flapping around, or do I just sew this other piece here so that I continue to travel? And today, continue to travel wins out. So we'll sew this on here. Now, when you're building your products, you can make things easier for yourself if you don't have a plotter or even a laser machine. A lot of laser cutters, you could actually make dots. A lot of cutters had drills on them where they would drill dots. If you cut old gear apart, a lot of times you'll see little dots underneath, and those were fabric drills. They would drill so you knew where to place these on the stuff. They also had stuff that had pins, and they had stuff that had IR ink on it also, so you could or UV ink. You could put it under a black light, so when it came across a sewing machine, you would see it, but when it's over here, you don't see it with the visible eye. We've never had any of that shit. So I actually marked all of these, and these are set up like, for instance, I'm 2 inches away from the edge and 2 inches from the top. The handles are 2 inch, so I can mark them with just a piece of webbing. And then a lot of times on 2 inch webbing, if you want to make a nice perfect box, You just fold this in, and there's your mark. That makes your perfect box or box X. And I do that with a lot of stuff. A lot of things when we build it, the spacing is 1 inch if we're using 1 inch webbing, 1.5 inches if it's 1.5 inches, so that you can just use it right on the table. I can put this right here, and then I don't have to do marking. That's something you will probably never hear anybody else doing sew videos tell you. Really, I think it's just because I'm smarter than most of them. Not really. Most people, especially factories and companies with money that jump into stuff, you'll find that a lot of people who own companies like that, they don't actually sew. So like that shit's never on their radar. They've never had to do it the hard way. So push come to shove, a lot of those companies, when they lose labor, or skilled labor more importantly, the guys that own the company couldn't actually sit there and do the job themselves. They can't demonstrate the job. And that's just 2 lines of 3 tacked in, zigzagged over. You can always have the conversation too, do you zigzag from the inside to the outside, or the outside to the inside, or do you want to make an actual X? That's all personal preference. We do require our girls, when they sew, I want opposing. So if it's inside to outside here, I want it inside to outside here also, so that they're just opposing. And then if you're going to do contrast thread, it always looks better if it's a box X. It just depends what you're building. When you're putting these handles on, always check, make sure you don't have a twist in here. This is where they both overlap. Now I'm just going to go 1, 2, that holds it down. That's what it looks like here on the inside. Now when I was saying opposing inside to outside, you can see I totally didn't do this. Mine all go the same way. When we do a giveaway on this bag, that's how you'll know that it was me that sewed it. You can also about guarantee if you get a piece of product with no label on it, that's also usually me that sewed it. Now, if we have stretch, which is not very bad this direction, this is where you're going to see it though. We use pinking shears, which is this, you know, this jagged zigzag type cut, keeps the material from fraying as much if you're using material that frays. But you can't slide those scissors. It's a physical bite every bite you take, and it does add up. That was an air compressor. We run a air compressor. We have some machines that run compressors, but we don't use any of the features with the compressor. That air compressor actually runs our digital cutter, so it goes just like that. If yours doesn't make that exact sound, you should probably stand next to it and make the sound.
Probably bought the wrong one then.
We did buy the wrong one. You buy the $4,000 machine, and you're like, hey, how come it only burns one side of the webbing? And they're like, oh, because you need the $5,000 machine. So you get the $5,000 machine. You're like, hey, how come it doesn't burn the other side of the webbing enough? Oh, you need the $7,000. So our friend came and made a clamp, so it actually dwells, it holds this piece of webbing before it falls. There's a spring clamp right here, so it comes down, holds it for an extra split second, because otherwise it cuts it so fast, it doesn't properly sear this edge of the webbing. It sears the edge on the machine. So to have a fabrication guy is priceless.
Is that Ranger Dave?
No, Ranger Dave could totally do it, though. No, this is a man named Walter. Now I'm coming back here, putting the second line in, just because it just makes it a little easier if you're not good at putting these zippers on. Takes an extra minute, but being this material is a little weird, I'll go ahead and put it on there. So now from here, you could pull this tight, put a top stitch on here, or we can go ahead and separate it and do it so it has like a zipper lip, so the zipper's a little more concealed, which I'm doing here. A lot of shadows. Brandel likes to film in the dark. He's like a vampire. I know dudes watch this, they're like, oh, I can sew better than that. Yeah, try it in the dark. I'm just kidding. Nobody says that. They might post it online, but there's nobody that actually believes it.
Ever had anybody come in here that can sew just as good as you?
Not to my knowledge, not that I'm aware of, no. I've had people come in, they're like, oh, I sew some stuff or whatever. I'm like, oh, cool, let me see something you made. And they never have fucking anything they made. I take that back. Sojourn Gear came in here, and I didn't know who he was. He's the dude that runs the sew shop over there at Bear's place. It's his company, I believe. He just happens to be co-located now with Bear. He's really good, like really, really good craftsman. He does clothing and packs and stuff. Like, I had no idea he was building any tactical gear. I offered him a job, like years before I even knew who Bear Independent was. Yeah. I just saw like amazing craftsmanship and skill, and then years later come to find out he was Bear's guy. There are some good dudes out there, like Goodworks. He just wanted to order a shotgun rig. I'm like, dude, I'll send you one. And he sent me a bag he calls the Boogie Bag. It's a little fanny pack. Tons of attention to like real good craftsmanship, like very, very clean build. I'll show you, you'll be surprised. He's got some things in his bag that we should probably implement into our, like, materials he's using and stuff. Pretty neat. He's coming out to take a shotgun course, so we'll probably actually sit down and do a head-to-head build or something. I'll have him build one of my products and I'll build his product head-to-head. I think that'd be a fun video. And these young, I don't know how old he is. He's definitely younger than me. But these young guys, like, he's using materials that it's just not really on my radar, you know, and he's got companies that I don't know, and I've got companies that he doesn't know. So we're able to exchange a little bit of information. He's like, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and answer my questions. He's like, I'm sure you get hit up all day. I'm like, yeah, I do, but I don't answer any. I only answer his. Like, I'm not friendly with a lot of people. I think when I tell people, I'm like, dude, I get 400 direct messages a day. People say that all the time. I think they're just like, oh, whatever, you know, because everybody kind of exaggerates. I don't think people realize, like, what 1,000 emails in a day actually looks like.
Three.
Huh?
I can't even deal with 3.
I answer about 3. I mean, that's about what we're good for. I spend more time with delete. I whittle it down. And then the important ones I print out. And then, like, once a month I might come back to those. And I get it, man. I get it. When people At least you could return my email. Like, bro, I feel for you, man. I get it. I am sure that we are losing business in that manner. And I am sure you can find a company that will answer all of your emails. But that company's not making rad sew videos for you. Hear that new puppy?
There's one back there too.
Huh?
That one's barking too.
Because he's standing there barking at this one. They do it all night long. Puppy barks and puppy farts. That'd be a shirt. I bet we could sell that.
It's puppy barks, puppy farts.
Puppy barks and puppy farts. I'll bet people would buy that shirt.
Yeah.
Especially great big fat con girls. Dog mom.
Dog moms and furries.
Yeah, those are people that don't have kids. As soon as they have the kids, they're no longer dog moms.
Then they sell their dog or give it away or put it in a box.
Yeah, something happens with it. Puppy's got to go. Man, I'm so lucky. It's perfect. Not really. I've done that like 800,000 times. Okay, so there's the main body. Here's the zippers. Now we're going to put the ends on these, which are going to conceal this and keep these zippers from coming off of here. And this is how we do this. Not that way. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Ooh, out of thread. We should do like Sprinter van jump outs. We just roll up to the shop, jump out, and be like, here, we can build this for you. We'll go to all the gun shops or outside military bases or whatever. Is that green? Is that not green? I don't know what color. Oh, here's the, there we go. Can we just sew with the lights on one day?
Yeah.
Man, it'd be so much faster. You know, when we bring people in here, they're not going to be able to sew in the dark.
Oh no. We'll set up one mini light at each one. So when they're done and they sew in the actual light.
Let's give them a headlamp that charges off the treadle. As they foot operate the sewing machine, it makes their light go. When they stop, the light dims out. The guys that come here as the guest sewers, they have to sew from the cold tank. I think that's only fair.
So 38 degrees sewing.
34.
34, gotcha.
Come on, man. Anyone can do 38.
Can't even do 60.
Sure you can. You just haven't, maybe. Absolutely you can.
I've been in a frozen pond.
Is that right? That's the right way. You weren't in a frozen pond. If it was frozen, you couldn't have gotten in
Well,
it.
I fell through.
Oh. Well, then it's not all the way frozen. Come on. Did you self-rescue or did somebody save you?
I self-rescued. I was only about 4 feet from the 5 feet from the edge, but it was about up to my chest.
Did you get naked afterwards?
Yeah, I did.
Find a stray animal, cuddle up with it. what they tell you. You gotta get
Not in my
naked.
car.
You're running down the road and some chick comes. She's like, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, you gotta get naked."
Gotta get naked. It's the only way
Save
to
my
survive.
life. I might be able to save you, but you have to be naked. All right, right here where this zipper is, I'm going to tack it a little bit. We've never seen one come undone or anything. That's never been a point of concern. So I'm sewing the bottom edge here first. As you can see, this was back flapped like an alligator mouth inside out. So I lined this all up right here. Travel up here. Now I'm holding it and I'm pulling it, and it pulls both edges, top and bottom, taut. There we go. And now I pull opposite directions here. Tack that zipper in. Again, pulling opposite directions. This hemline, this line I'm sewing, I want it far enough in to grab both pieces of material and make them one, but I don't want it so far in that when I sew this other piece on that you see this stitch line. So I'm sewing pretty close to the edge there. And the only reason I'm doing that is if you're not skilled enough to be very close to the edge, that's okay. I just don't want you to see this stitch line when I put the other one on top of it, which you'll see here in a second. I forgot to put the Velcro on, so we'll go ahead and throw. I messed this up. That's another way you're going to know that I sewed this. This Velcro should be underneath here, and it's not going to be. It's going to be on top here. So this is like your upside down airplane stamp. It's worth a lot of money. That's the other way you'll know when we do a giveaway for this bag that I sewed it, because this should be concealed underneath these handles. All right, so I'm looking for center here on the side, center on the top, which I already have here, denoted by those red marks right there. And then I'm going to do the same thing right here. And you can do it with a ruler, or you can just simply fold your work in half to find center. And you can also put it on either side. You can put your marks on the inside or the outside. Whichever works for you. I'm doing it a couple inches at a time, just kind of holding it in place because I don't want a lot of stretch. And you can build your bag on the edges first or the sides or whatever. I take it in kind of quarters, so because if you sew it all in one direction, you'll have stretch all in one direction. And on the other one, you saw me flip the work and come back the other way. This is short enough that I'm gonna just go ahead and run it like that. It's not gonna pull it very much on that short run right there. Same thing here, we'll get this piece in here. I do like to come from the center though and do it in, you know, bites or quarters. You can also, on a short run like this, you could just kind of pull it into place and start right there and sew it. I also like to cut the threads out of there as I'm going. It just keeps from having to get them sucked in somewhere else and having to cut out of other stitches. I like to cut everything super short, all the tails and stuff. And you don't have to do that. You can do yours however you want. But when you put your bag all together and it's just like not square, it's all pulled in a weird direction, because you probably sewed it all in one direction rather than taking those individual sides. This bag will have actually 8 lines of stitching in it. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 stitches to this bag here. We have had ladies on the floor that can sew them all just in one continuous direction and have them come out clocked. It's too much work for me to do it that way. It's faster for me to break the lines and just do it in individual bites. Mine always comes out just clocked a little bit weird. So right here, I'm just going to pull this in right here even. If I have any excess, you need to decide if you're going to put that little pucker at the bottom, the top, equally, put it in the center. And I don't have enough here that's really going to make a pleat. You're not going to see it. So I'm just going to kind of run right up in. And when I'm done, I'll go back around and sew the whole thing. We actually sew our real bags. We sew them around 3 times. So once this is all done, you would sew all the way back around it twice. And again, you don't have to sew it 3 times. That's why yours won't be as good as mine. Could also just flip it, sew back over what you just did, and then right there's where I started. Now I'll come back. So I've got extra material right here. I've got like no, not as much as I thought I did. And if you have like a pleat that's a quarter, half inch, whatever, you can take your favorite little screwdriver and just kind of push the material a little bit, and then push it a little more, and just keep pushing it that direction. And when it's done, you won't see that pleat. It'll just kind of head mush the material in evenly through that whole line, and you won't see that little fold in there. And it's because I had it pulled too much. Now I'm going to have a pleat on the opposite side here, but make it work. This material's a little stretchy. Now you've got it all sewn together. Now turn it right side out and see if it's clocked, if it actually makes a nice rectangle, a nice, proper box. And if it doesn't, you might want to unsew it. And I say that before you sew it over 2 or 3 more times, before you have to cut 3, 4, 5 stitch lines out of it. So we're going to just turn it, take a look at it until you're confident that your work is nice and clean. It's always faster to go a little slower. So. And I mean, of course, mine's perfect, so. It does look a little slouchy. When you see videos and pictures of bags that are nice and sharp, it's usually not because the bag is nice and sharp, it's because we put boxes or air cells inside them to make them look nice and sharp. So, there it is. That's what it looks like. And that is how you build one of our tool bag lights. It's the same build to build a tool bag. The tool bag just has, I don't know, 3 times more labor in it. Isn't it beautiful? Miranda's looks better. Here's the sample bag for the photos. I think we've already shot photos, maybe not. You can tell that one's not mine because it has the labels on it.
And the Velcro is sewn under.
That's right. It's sewn under. All right. Now you can buy one of these for $65. You could cut it apart, make your patterns. You could buy a $2,000 sewing machine. You could buy a $1,000 roll of material, and you could start making your own. Or you could just buy these. We have them on the website at SOE Tactical Gear. Not these. By the time you see this, it's probably too late. You should have been on the text app.